Wick began this inspiring tale on TowQuest, the likes of which may never be seen again, for it was the rarest of happenings unplanned. Crick, Kit, Carmel, and Label Wench soon joined in. It takes place somewhere, sometime in the English countryside. Far from the Many Worlds pub, on the outskirts of town, a path winds its way into the hills overlooking the lights of the city below. The path terminates on top of a high hill, where several massive flat rocks gather warmth from the sun by day and release the warmth by night. A spring of cool water issues from beneath one of these rocks, giving rise to the pleasant music of water bubbling up from the earth and spilling down a narrow bed of smooth stones. Quaking aspen trees, rustling in the darkness, gather around the spring, where watercress and peppergrass grow in profusion. It was to this place Wick resorted to sit in the moonlight and open the bamboo cage. It was his intent to converse with the cricket, to establish once and for all whether the human race was free or not. He needed to know. It was a matter of conscience. Softly, he crooned the words of his song to the bamboo cage. Anything your heart desires will come to you. He strained to see into the cage, but the shadows were far too deep to reveal their contents. I need my heart's desire, Cricket, Wick whispered. The speed of light troubled poor Wick. It seemed like a chain that held the whole of the human race in a space-time thrall. Wick's children had learned well the lessons of light speed and of relativity, a determinate universe. His children struggled with such a concept at first, but then embraced it. If the universe were determinate, if all events were ascertained at the moment of the Big Bang, then how could anyone be held responsible for their actions? The universe as a whole held responsibility for all things. There could be neither evil or good. There could only be one truth, namely exactly what was. And while this idea seemed liberating for his children, we can do what we want. There is no law but one. All things are lawful. The universe has declared it. Wick felt the pangs of sorrow and of guilt. He did not want to abdicate responsibility for his sins to the universe. He did not want to live in a universe in which all things were lawful. He wanted to live in a universe of limits, a universe that held its occupants accountable for the joy or the sorrow they unleashed. He hoped that the cricket might lead him to such a universe. Yet while he was a deeply moral man, Wick was also a man of very limited intellect. Who but a fool would confiscate a cricket with the sole intent of asking the insect the greatest mystery of all? Who but a fool would actually anticipate an answer from said cricket? And who but a fool would place said cricket in a bamboo cage with gaps so wide?
There are some ways out of this, the cricket encouraged. What do you think they could be? I could learn more things, said Wick, and then have a wider range of choices, perhaps choosing differently tomorrow than I would today. But wouldn't that choice still be determined? Yes, but your life would be richer. What else? Use the learning by tapping into it. Wouldn't that be automatic? Well, yes, but only if you also had the inclination to learn, plus the learning to ponder responses. For that is what is the difference between just reacting and discovering a more creative solution. I see, like pausing to consider the scenarios, but isn't that just a modicum of free will? Yes, but it's more than we might have had before. But still, we can't really will that which does the willing, although we can kind of tell it to go off and solve a problem and then get back to us. But all the results will still be dependent on who and what we have become. Yes, but is that so bad? Would you want it any other way? Maybe there is some randomness in the quantum realm, or simply when something happens in nature that is so close that there is no preference or determination, such as 50-50. Could be, but what of that from then on? It still goes as it goes. However, we don't know enough about the quantum or the brain yet. But what would it be that lets events not be determined? And would that mean some strange surprises? I can predict many reactions from people. Many of us can do that, but of course, some people are unpredictable, but I mean in a good way. They just know more and get into many diverse areas. True, there's learning happening again. What if any one of Hitler's ancestors did even one slight thing differently? Well, if they did, and if they could have, then there would have been no Hitler. Tough stuff to think about, but why shouldn't all prior events contribute to the next? I don't have an answer for that. It is tough to ponder, and I wish I knew a real way out. It's a paradox of sorts, but we have whatever we have, and that's the main thing. Life is presented to us all. We must deal with it. We must live it.
The red mare stood motionless and flicked her ears forward in response to the chirruping and rasping sounds coming from the man by the cage. There were two distinctly different intonations, although there only appeared to be one person. Without moving her hooves, the mare arched her elegant neck slightly. Aha! The second insect voice was coming from the cage, for as all her kind, the mare had a basic understanding of all things, although this species of insect was little known in the far north from whence they had journeyed. The rider, greeting unrequited, sat quiet and observant upon the horse, allowing her mind to follow the thoughts of the trusted creature. There was no immediate danger here, and the sight and sound of a fellow being engaged in a seemingly deep philosophical conversation with a species that she had been advised tasted like peanut butter when baked, even better if dipped in chocolate. This was mildly intriguing. It would do no harm to wait a little longer and observe the outcome of this uncommon conversation.